Hello everyone from Cape Town, South Africa. This week's Parashat is Parashat Teruma. We are walking over here, going on a hike on Table Mountain. And it got me thinking about the different things that are brought up in the Parsha. We have the menorah, we have the mizbech, and we have the Shulchan Lechem Apanim, the table that was put, the bread was put on inside the Mishkan, the tabernacle, and later on inside Bet HaMikdash, inside the temple. So I was trying to think of what we can talk about because we're on Table Mountain. Wanted to talk about something I felt connected to for a second. So I wanted to talk about Shulchan Lechem Apanim. It was always one of those items that I had a bit of a more difficult time of trying to connect to what is it. And while thinking about it, we remembered that there was a connection between it on a spiritual level to tzedakah. Now there's a Hasidic story that in a small village in Ukraine by the city of Mezrich, there was a very simple man who didn't have a lot, but he once came into the Bet Knesset, into the synagogue, and he hears the rabbi talking in Parashat about Lechem Apanim. He says, I don't have much. I don't have really what to give. I don't know how to learn Torah. I'm a very, very simple man. So what can I do for God? God loves this Lechem Apanim, this special bread. Says, my wife makes bread. So he decided that he was going to take the bread from his wife and he puts it inside the Aron Kodesh. And he comes in on Friday before Shabbat, and he takes the 2 loaves of bread and he puts them in the Aron Kodesh and he says, God, please accept this offering, just like the Lechem Apanim in the Mishkan. I hope this brings you happiness. And Friday morning comes and they open up the Aron Kodesh to take out the Sefer Torah, and when they take out the Sefer Torah, the challahs are gone. And this Jew is so excited about this offering that God has accepted that he decides to do this again next week, and the week afterwards, and the week afterwards. And one day, the Shamish looks and sees what's going on, and he comes and he decides that he's going to wait quietly on the side of the Aron Kodesh on Friday to see this whole story. And he comes and he watches the simple man come and put the bread in, and he makes his little prayer and he leaves. And as the years go by, the prayer starts changing. And one of the things that changes is he says, Ribbono Shel Olam, I'm sorry, my wife's cooking isn't as good as it used to be. Her hands are shaking, she lost some of her sense of taste, but I hope that you still accept it and still enjoy it. And while his prayers change, suddenly the Shamish notices another man comes in, a simple man, who would come in every single Friday and take the bread from the Aron Kodesh. And he runs quickly to the rabbi and he tells him the story. The rabbi calls the simple man who is giving the bread and the person who is taking the bread, and he asks them for an explanation. And the simple man says, I was giving the bread every single week. I came to bring it as an offering to God. And the person who was receiving it had no idea. He said, I come from a very, very poor family, and I came to the Aron Kodesh and I prayed to God and I said, please God, we just need something to eat. And I opened up the Aron Kodesh and there was bread there. And every week I do this at the same time and the bread miraculously appears. And the rabbi loses it. He starts screaming and yelling. He says, you're making a mockery of the religion. You're making a mockery of God. How can you do such a thing, putting food inside the Aron Kodesh? Get out of here, both of you. And the Maggid Mezrich hears this, and he calls in the rabbi and he says, you should know that since the time of the temple, there hasn't been a story that made God so happy, and you just ruined this. He says this part of bringing the bread bringing the bread and giving it to another person, having that connection, and having both of them from the bottom of their heart believe in this miracle. It says that's what this Lechem HaPanim was about. It says this was an unbelievable thing that was done, and this is one of the ways that we give tzedakah. There are many different ways to give tzedakah and different levels of way to give tzedakah. The most simple way to give tzedakah is to give it to a person right in front of him. Okay? But that way makes a person feel bad about himself. And the higher levels of giving tzedakah have to do with matan baseter, giving without the person knowing that he's getting. That is one of the highest levels of tzedakah. May we all learn how to give tzedakah in that way. Shabbat Shalom.